Why settle for small swords and fancy arcane spells when you could be smashing enemies to a pulp? Let's take a look at the two-handed warder. Welcome to this warder two-handed showcase video intended to give you a basic idea of what it's like to play a warder. Tired of feeling vulnerable and a part-time wussy? Time to man up and stand your ground. The playstyle of this build is very tanky and defensive, yet strong and dangerous. With crowd control abilities paired with good survivability and area of effect damage, this build is sure to satisfy the more melee-oriented players looking to dive into the combat and shrugging off attacks from puny little monsters. Let's take a moment to go over the skills. At first, I chose to level as a soldier, merely putting 1 point into abilities like Force Wave, Blitz and Blade Arc, while putting most points in the Mastery to reach Alaron's Rage as fast as possible. A fantastic toggle ability that adds damage over time to all your attacks. Before getting there, however, it might be wise to put 1 point into Field Command to gain access to Squad Tactics, another fantastic toggle ability that grants crazy 45% to all damage and a 10% increase in attack speed. Don't miss out on Counter-Strike either. It might also be a good idea to spend single points in a few of the top abilities to synergize with our default attack skill, namely Savagery, which is located in the Shaman tree and is at least worth taking when you first have access to it. Personally, I chose not to focus on maxing it first, unlike with the Trickster build I covered earlier, simply because I wanted to reach Alaron's Rage fast, so whether to max it or not is more up to your preferences. Also, while working your way to Alaron's Rage, it might be handy to take Warcry and even Break Morale for some easy crowd control. I later respect those skills to advance faster, but I will be taking those skills at a bit higher level. Then lastly, it might not be a bad idea to spend more points in the survivability skills of the soldier tree, namely Menhir's Will and Military Conditioning. Aside from this, I'd recommend first spending your points in the synergies of skills like Blade Arc and Blitz, before dedicating points to the base skills themselves, because it seems the synergies are more helpful because of the added damage over time effect and the increased targets hit. Now for the Devotion. As for Devotion, I'd recommend putting points in things that grant physical damage, internal trauma damage, total damage, and even bleed. Aside from that, anything that increases your defenses, whether it's health increase, health regen increase, or resistances. I chose to first take Bull for the great physical and internal trauma bonuses and bound Bull Rush to our default skill Savagery for a helpful extra and free area of effect attack that procs quite often. After this, I chose Hammer for extra damage. Then I made my way over to Dire Bear for an even greater increase in physical and internal trauma damage, while binding Maul to Blade Arc for another extra area of effect ability. After this, you could focus on getting Lion or Turtle, or even both, for great survivability, and afterwards you could go for Rowan Scepter. Taking Jackal might also be worth it for the extra overall damage. As for items, you'll want to ideally be using maces because of the Rowan Scepter devotion, but generally any two-handed weapon with good damage will suffice. Also focus on items that grant increased physical damage, bleed damage, and internal trauma damage. Aside from that, you could focus on defenses like health regen, resistances, and more physique. As a relic, it seems Juggernaut would be very good to use for damage and survivability. And a short overview of attributes. With attributes, I chose to take mostly physique with a few points in cunning. This is the one class I've played so far that can quite easily play the game and handle any danger without much fear of dying. With a combination of good survivability due to the soldier tree paired with the shaman tree and handy crowd control skills, you are well equipped to handle any given situation. It's also great fun to see everything you bash bleed down straight into the ER. Where Trickster relies on pneumatic bursts to survive overwhelming damage, the two-handed warder just straight up eats it up and spits it right back out, with the wide arsenal of survivability skills aiding him in combat. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to let me know and have a fantastic day.